Hello everyone, I'm Shannon Slatton. Concerns about the COVID-19 Delta variant continue to surface. ER doctors at North Memorial Health say a large number of COVID hospitalizations at the hospital involve people who are unvaccinated. Dr. Cameron Berg with North Memorial Health says the Delta variant accounts for many of the new cases. He says that's because the Delta variant is more easily transmittable. He also says people infected with the Delta variant tend to get sicker.
If you were walking past somebody or in conversation with somebody that was infected with the Delta variant, remember that 50% of the time or so, they might not even know it. It's likelier that you could contract that infection than it was, say, several months ago.
Experts say people who are fully vaccinated have about 88% protection against the Delta variant, which Dr. Berg says is quite good. The surge in violent crime in the Twin Cities also impacts the suburbs, who have seen spikes in violent crime as well. I spoke with District 1 Commissioner Jeff Lunde, who also serves as chair of public safety for the Hennepin County Board, for today's Newsmakers. Let's jump right in. Violent crime is on the rise in the suburbs as well as in Minneapolis, as we know. What's the county doing about it?
I think the county took some time to put some investment into, what can we do? One of the ways we can do is help fund some violence interrupters. We can find mental health trauma experts to help with people who are victimized. Also trying to help find ways that we can intervene in the lives of the people who are being affected, so that if it's youth, are there other opportunities that we can get them into? And so we're trying to put funding to try to really focus in on that. And we also did something a little unique. We actually put a lot of money into public defender's office because of the backlog of cases. The linchpin was that there wasn't enough public defenders. So we want to make sure people, if they're involved with the court system, they have, justice delayed is justice denied. And so we're trying to fix that.
All right. What's the timeline for all of this actually getting passed, signed, and rolling out?
Yeah, it happened in an immediate resolution, which means that 1 week.
All right.
And then the money is starting to hit the street, as I like to call it. In other words, getting to where it needs to go, not sitting in a bureaucrat's office, but actually getting out there and being put to use. And that's what it needs to be. It had to happen right away. And so it should be starting to flow. In fact, it is in certain aspects. But we're working with partners, we're working with people actually doing the work now. We're not asking people to stand up something. We're actually saying we want to invest in organizations that are doing things.
All right. And how are you guys going to judge the results, or how much success that you have?
Yeah, and I think the money's actually timed to go out for over 2 years. It just had to start. And so I think the results are going to start to see, are we going to expect violence to all of a sudden go down, everybody gets to pat themselves on the back? No. But we can start to see some residual, because a lot of the violence it follows other violence. And we're trying to get in the middle of that and kind of slow stuff down, including like having things at North Memorial Hospital, HCMC, where when there's a victim of a gunshot, friends and family show up and they're angry, right? And so that anger sometimes manifests itself into, let's get back at them. And so we've got interrupters there to try to say, take a moment, let's just let that moment happen and try to stop that cycle. And so we're hoping to see things like that, but most of it we want to help victims too.
All right. And some of this money is allocated for Brooklyn Center. Is that correct? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we've got some money in Brooklyn Center for trauma. After Dante Wright's murder, we knew that people there across from the police department especially were, the unrest. And so we had to help them as well. And then in Brooklyn Park, we've got, 63rd and Zane, which has kind of been a focal point between two gangs, trying to put interrupters in there to help out.
All right. Have high hopes for the interrupters?
I do. And I think this is real stuff. It's not that feel-good, pat ourselves on the back stuff that I personally hate. It's about getting money to people who are doing the work out
in the
with
trenches.
Those people. Yes, and if that money is out there, we know that it'll have a positive effect, not sitting there to make us, not a public campaign to put billboards up somewhere. We're like, get people out there. A lot of these are former gang members. Let's pay them to do this work because we're asking them to help with public safety. So let's invest in them.
All right. We'll be watching to see how it goes. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And on that note, we could all use a little more kindness. Reporter Sonia Goins introduces us to a Golden Valley woman who is determined to uplift and spread joy, one good deed at a time.
When we put the libraries together, it'll come with a couple brackets, and then I give screws as well. Some of these screws go in here and they actually create a ledge for the shelf to hang out on.
Michelle Christensen is on a mission to spread peace and joy.
There is something about being able to say I love you and meaning it.
She's the founder of One Good Deed, a group of volunteers that commits to doing at least one good deed per month.
It is very lovely to see people pull together.
Her first project was in 2016 when she made 4 little free libraries. That tradition continues today,
I have directions that I give each little library owners.
only on a much larger scale.
This is our July Good Deed every year. So this is our 3rd year of doing little libraries. So we're up to 65.
Recently, she gathered 20 families together and they painted dozens of little free libraries.
I had 20 little free libraries and I had over 400 responses.
All the supplies are donated and stored in her Golden Valley garage.
Everything is donated, from the materials to the labor to make them to the books.
It was a family-friendly event. People spent hours making sure their little free libraries stood out.
One is going to be a Snoopy Dog house, and one has the Girl Scout insignia troop number on it. One has a pride flag on it.
Christensen says the Little Free Library project is more than crafting. It's about making connections and building community.
And I saw names being exchanged, phone numbers being exchanged. They were going to visit each other's little libraries.
The group also painted kindness rocks,
These are some of the paints that we use for the kindness rocks.
which have uplifting messages that are guaranteed to put a smile on your face.
We handmade some quilts up in there.
Every winter, volunteers scarf bomb, donating cold winter gear on trees in parks to help the homeless.
We put a label on them and we wrap them around trees and benches and tennis courts.
One Good Deed has one main purpose: to encourage people to be kind and spread joy.
And that it just takes one person to start a ripple that turns into a wave.
In Golden Valley, Sonia Goins, CCX News.